On this enchanting episode of Things I Found Online, we are exploring how actors use the internet. All will be revealed as we visit with actors Virginia Jones, Kyle Hefner, and Rose Rosenfeld, along with voice actors Wendy Shapiro and me. Thank you, Jack Daniel. And now, please allow me to toss to my fetching co-host, Louise Palanker. Wheezy.
That was really good. Thank you, Jack. That
Thank
was
you.
illuminating. Let me start by saying that appearing on this podcast may lead to an Emmy win. The evidence thus far is anecdotal, but Henry Winkler appeared on our show just before the debut of HBO's Barry. This was episode 26 of our show. It proved most fortuitous for Mr. Winkler. He was ready for podcasting. He'd put a lot of work in.
I think he earned it.
He, I said, all right, kid, we'll give you a shot. And he he did the podcast live from his desk at home.
I'm done, Fuchs. Starting now.
Yes.
Bravo! I just saw you go to a place tonight I have never seen before. Okay, I see you're still in that place. I'm going to leave you to your process. They can wait till Monday.
Wow.
Brilliant of him to get Bill Hader.
So
He's so
a
funny.
hitman with a heart of actor.
You know what?
right?
Honest to God, I have no idea how they wove these two stories together. He's an assassin who hates it,
Right,
who wants to be an actor, who's terrible at it,
right.
but loves it. And it's only a half an hour, the show.
Yeah.
And I'm amazed. I am amazed, and I am grateful that I am part of that ensemble.
Oh, well,
So
you're
cool.
brilliant. Absolutely. Your character his name is Gene.
Cousineau.
That was Henry in his office, and you saw the mail behind him. We got him to open fan mail. It's a great episode. If you're not too busy watching this one, I would tune that in.
Also known as the stepping stone to HBO and the Emmys.
Yeah, so he won an Emmy last night. So round of applause for Henry Winkler.
Henry Winkler.
Emmy Award winning now goes next to his name. The Emmy Award winning Henry Winkler.
Deserved.
And we're so thrilled for him. So, and it's interesting that the Emmys were on last night because I hadn't planned on this. I'm not that careful and I'm not that organized. But we have actors on the show the night after the Emmys. Do you guys find it inspiring or annoying to watch other people win awards?
To be honest, I was in the crowd last night at the Emmys, and I found it very annoying and very frustrating.
Were you a seat filler?
I was
Nice.
watching actors that are the same age as me going up there and winning awards. Although I am very proud, and it's great inspiration.
Were you able to trip anyone?
I almost tripped Jessica Biel.
There you go. That's
She
my
had
girl.
a very long gown.
I've wanted to trip her for a long time.
All right, so we're gonna turn whatever you were feeling into complete and total passion, purpose, and inspiration.
It's fun. The Emmys, I've actually been a couple of times to
Yeah.
the Emmys. I've been to the Emmys a couple of times, and it's really great because all the action is going on by the bar. So when you go out to the bar, that's where everyone they're getting hammered. They're banging them back.
Sure.
And then they're going in, and then they're, okay, it's still going. Oh, commercial break. Okay.
By everyone, do you
One
mean
more.
you, actually?
I was out there.
No,
I
no,
was
his
just to
personality.
experience and see.
No, I
what's
think
going
he
on.
means Betty White. We all know what he means.
Oh, Betty.
Betty.
Yeah.
That's I've been backstage because in radio you're in the press sort of pool area and you're backstage, so you have complete access to the catering, which is nice. And then you only see the winners, so you don't see the despair and disappointment or the tears. You just see the winners, and they seem thrilled. So that part is fun.
They're in a nice place. You're
Yeah.
able to share in that a little bit.
Yeah, and someone's just kind of guiding them around, and they're giddy. And Yeah, I don't know what you guys thought of the show. I only got through an hour of it. I was telling Jack if I watch an hour a day, I could get through it in a month. And that's my goal.
Did you notice? Well, you guys probably saw the thing about the engagement, right? That was
No,
pretty
no,
amazing.
I just saw Henry
It was-
win, and then I dozed
How
off.
was
This
it-
show's
how
about-
was it live, though?
It was a shock. I
It
mean,
was, really.
everyone in the crowd was like, wow, this is really happening.
Way to make it about you.
Yeah. I mean, I
Well, it is actors.
Yeah.
I think it was really sentimental. I think it was beautiful the way he did it with his mother's ring. He
That's true.
proposed. His mother had died 2 weeks before the event.
Yeah.
And
So they got a divorce.
who?
His mother.
Yes, his little ray of sunshine.
You have a dark turn of mind.
Wow, Virginia. All right, so I'm going to introduce the panel. So we have Jack
Yay.
Daniel and, of course, Wendy
Oh, that's
Shapiro.
a
They are
powerful
Facebook
plug.
official. And Kyle Hefner is here. Virginia Jones. And my cousin's cousin, Rose Rosenfeld. We are related virtue of Australia. Yes, we're cousins with our. We have a
Kangaroo.
common kangaroos and Rick, cousin Rick. So now we were going to click on everybody's IMDb. Everyone here has an IMDb page, which is fantastic. So let's see what's going on IMDb for everybody. So there's you, Rose,
Or Virginia.
Or
or
Virginia.
Virginia. I've been having problems with names. I think Jack got me off on. He's been calling Lane Allen for about a month and a half, and I just
Can't blame all your problems
It's-
on
Keeps them
Jack, man.
guessing.
it's
though.
contagious. It's contagious. So there we go, Virginia. There's you.
Yeah.
And you can't be the only Virginia Jones on the
I
internet.
sure am not.
So what happened? How did you get your own website and your own IMDb?
Well, see, if you see in tiny little Roman numerals, I am Virginia Jones 3. So there's a Virginia Jones that was acting in the 60s and is no
Right.
longer that.
Wait, are you? Is that
Available.
your SAG name, Virginia Jones?
I am, as they say, non-union AF.
Okay, got it.
So there's a Virginia Jones who's a makeup lady.
Yeah.
Who's not. So yeah, when you set up your IMDb, you have to write and make your case that you are a different Virginia Jones.
Oh, okay.
And yeah, when I become SAG eligible, I probably will be Virginia L. Jones or Virginia.
You
Jones.
could do. There's a guy named David Lawrence. I don't know if you know him. He's a VO guy. He's done a lot of work, getting nods. His SAG name is David Lawrence the 17th. And he just said, you know what, heck with it. I'm not going to be the third or whatever or something like that. I'm just going to go with
skip
the
ahead.
crazy
Go for
number and make it part of my thing.
yeah, it's like when
That's
on
intense.
MySpace when everyone said they were 103. Just exaggerate.
Yeah.
Is that like ranking of friendship?
No, that was just like you didn't want to tell anyone your age, so you just
Right,
made
so
yourself
you-
like,
Oh,
like
right.
I'm
Yeah.
really
And that's
old.
happening-
You're
and that-
500.
And that's happening on Facebook as well. I'm like, you look great for 80.
Well, because it links to
But yeah,
other profiles.
the real benefit of my career is that the Emmys don't make me envious at all because they don't give Emmys for Mexican beer commercials or Australian tap dance home kits, which are the things that I've done. So I feel
true.
it's just another world. I'm like, oh, this has nothing to do with me.
Your tap kit work is very inspiring. I want to
is.
Thank
say.
you
wanna
very
say
much.
It's on
Might have to
point.
get on top of this desk.
Yeah.
Yeah, nothing that I've done would be considered. So it's a freedom.
So Kyle's IMDb is very impressive.
Yeah,
and
I
he's
noticed that.
here to just make everybody just envious.
Look at that.
It goes
And
on
look,
and
at,
on.
look at how
Dashing
handsome that
gent.
guy is.
Oh, I'm green this week.
And then
Well, that's
he has a lot of credits and he's best known for Flashdance. So what were you? Did
That
you have
dance
water
scene
come
did-
down when you pulled a chain? What
good.
happened?
I was actually in the bucket of water.
Were you?
As
Okay.
it splashed down on Jennifer Beals. No, I played Jennifer Beals' friend, and I was a stand-up comedian and short order cook. And
You're sitting right next to him, Virginia.
And
Honest.
oh my God, it's very impressive.
This is
Thank
exciting.
you. Thank you for that. Yeah, so that was, who knew that movie was going to be that? I mean, we didn't know. I showed up. I knew the prop guys. They were like, Kyle, you better get another job as soon as you can because this one's going nowhere. But little did we know.
But she welds by day and dances by night.
Yes, she does.
So, I mean, I think there's hope for everyone here, right?
Yes, yes. I mean, who knew? Yeah, and the first time I saw the trailer, I had gone to like the Fox in Westwood to see a movie, and the trailer for Flashdance came up, and the entire audience laughed.
Oh,
And I was like,
no.
oh no, this is going to tank. But, 3 weeks later, I was running into people going, oh my God, I've seen that movie 45 times.
Yeah, and they were people with the one shoulder hanging out.
Yes,
Yeah.
you had
Sure.
to rip
The
your
leg
t-shirt,
warmers.
leg
Yeah.
warmers.
I mean, Rose is too young.
Rose-
But a generation of women learned how to take their bra out from under a sweatshirt from that film. I'm like,
Yeah,
oh.
Rose.
Oh, okay.
It's
Go
a gift.
home and
I
watch
learned
Flash.
that myself.
Did you? Well, yeah. I mean, the kids have to learn it on YouTube. you
Right,
know?
exactly.
Right.
Now you learn it on the streets.
Right. So Rose, let's look at your IMDb. Now, did you guys know that Rose is Miss Australia?
No.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, she is.
World Australia.
Yeah, Miss World Australia. Have you met Donald Trump at all?
No, that's Miss Universe.
Oh, okay.
Thank
All right.
goodness.
Well, dare to dream. All right. So there she is. So how do you guys select what goes on an IMDb profile? How do you put it all together? Do you need a friend who knows a lot about the internet, or do you just get frustrated and throw your computer? Like, how do you?
It's
How do-
really good if you have an agency or a manager to help you,
Doing it.
and because they see everything, so they're the ones with the best pointers, which is how I put mine together.
Yours looks really good.
Thank
It
you.
looks
Can
really
you just say what a pointer is, maybe?
I'd
It's
say
a kind of dog.
like
Oh, actually, you know what? I
particular-
thought you were coming up with a term of art that I didn't understand,
No,
and you were
tips.
talking about just like a tip.
oh
means
yeah,
tips.
yeah.
Oh, never mind.
Yeah,
Tips.
maybe that's an Aussie word. I don't know.
No, no.
These words you're
Pointer?
using, what do they mean?
So the actors that you see before you report that they use the following websites to network, audition, or look for parts, etc. They use Backstage, Casting About, Casting Frontier,
Mhm.
LA Casting, Star Now. Can you tell us about these sites? What do they offer? What is involved? How do you sign up? How does it work?
So, well, Star Now, because it's up on the screen,
Mhm.
is one of the, I wouldn't say it's as popular in LA. It's more popular in Australia. But basically, it's a membership-based program, and there's different levels, different tiers. So you can go pro, which is more expensive, and that allows you to submit to more shows or castings or whatever. And basically, you can add as many photos as you want and as many video footage as you want. And yeah, it's pretty simple. You just keep applying and applying and applying and hopefully get a hit.
Do you think that casting people look on these sites, or do they go through the channels of agencies and just kind of by appointment?
Both.
Yeah, definitely both.
Mm-hmm.
I think LA casting is obviously the biggest in
Yeah.
LA.
Mm-hmm.
Now
And,
that everything moved over from Actors Access.
Yeah, but it's
Right.
Okay, so
breakdowns.
talk about that, because I want to know what's going on. So I had heard about Actors Access, but now you're saying that everything's moved over to LA
No,
Cast.
I mean, they pretty much cut it out. So, a lot of the work that was on, because breakdown services, they got mad. And the guy who created it, and then things got pulled. And then all of, I think.
Okay,
it's
so
Sony.
back way up. So before the internet, how did it work? Because you're talking
There's
about
a little thing called a newspaper.
Mhm.
And it was Backstage West, and you actually have to go and circle things.
right, but the way that
on-
casting offices would find out about parts is they would get
The breakdown.
the breakdowns. And so there was a system and there were channels.
And we all tried as actors to get the breakdowns.
Right.
And then it turned
But it-
into Actors Access.
But it was exclusive. Like if you have a casting agency like Fenton Feinberg, you had to subscribe to those breakdown services, and those people made money, and they didn't want this paradigm to shift at all. Am I correct about that?
Yeah.
So what happened when things started moving online?
Well, the guy who started Actors Access and Casting About is the guy who helped start breakdowns.
Okay.
So he started doing it, and then they were sitting around. They're like, we'd like to have a list of all the stuff, the stuff that's available, and break down the script. So they'd break down the script, and they'd see the roles that were available, and they started creating lists, and then supplying those lists to the agents from the casting directors to assist the casting directors in finding the people for those roles.
Mm-hmm.
So he started that early on, and then he had breakdown. He started Actors Access, but I'm blanking on his name. But then he,
Gary.
what's his name?
You know what?
He's a British guy.
Gary. My brain is
Gary.
Gary.
Yes,
name is
Gary.
Well, you're
Gary.
Australian. Do you know him?
It's,
I mean, it's gone. It's gone. Oh, hello. Gary.
So, but
We'll just
Actors
call him-
Access,
We'll call him Bob.
I mean, I don't really use it because the only thing that's ever up there is unpaid student films.
No,
I mean,
there's
you-
other stuff.
There's
as
other
well.
stuff.
it is
But-
majority unpaid student films, though, I'd say.
I mean, if we're just talking in generalities, Backstage there's a lot of theater and a lot of like cool projects, but not necessarily paid.
Right.
Actors Access feels like a lot of unpaid student films, and then LA Casting is just everything.
LA Casting is everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There are on Actors Access, I find a lot of independent films, and
Yeah.
I've actually done some independent films I've gotten through. They pay, not much, but they pay. Small independent films that I've gotten from submitting myself through Actors Access.
Yeah.
What would you guys say is your percentage of going to like an online site versus other avenues, like manager or other type of referrals?
Do you mean booking?
Yes.
Well, or auditioning.
Or audition.
Yeah.
I'd say 1 in 50
Is
the chances of getting.
Oh, no, I'm
Self-submitted
sorry.
audition?
That's a
Yeah.
great statistic. I'm glad you said that. But actually, I was asking in terms of your seeking auditions and
How
going
often
to
do
them.
you- yeah.
How do you divvy up that work? Is it the 10%, 50% auditions online derived, or how many from say your agents, managers, et cetera?
I would
The
say
metrics.
60-40.
What are the
Like 60% of the auditions I go on are through my agents, and then or my manager, and then I don't self-submit for all that much stuff because I don't want to double submit. I only self-submit if it's like, oh, this is me. This might as well have my name on it.
Okay.
Mhm.
Or if some other reason I want to be involved, like I'll do anything. I'll submit for anything that involves tap dancing. Because it's a skill that no one wants.
It's
like
rare,
it's the skill that
yeah.
I've spent the most time and money
Oh, I
working
want
on,
it.
and nobody is. So I'll put in for anything like that. So anything that is particular to me, I'll self-submit. But generally speaking, not
All
as
right.
much.
So what is your process? You wake up in the morning and what do you check? What do you do?
Well, I think most of us probably get just the emails. You put in and say, well, I'm a lady. And
Yeah.
so that cuts the roles significantly.
Yeah.
And then I'm a lady between this, I can play this age to this age. And then so it'll filter down to you and you'll get either a digest, you'll get like role by role and have a look at that. And if you feel like it's something you want to submit for, you'll submit for. What do you guys think?
Well, I think
I'm the one who's done the least, and I shouldn't be talking the
Well,
most.
90% of the stuff I get is agent and manager. And then I go through Actors Access and I look for interesting things to do, something that I find would be interesting or a character I haven't played. So I do it that way. But you wake up in the morning and you check Actors Access, and then you have breakfast, and then you check Actors Access again, and then you have a snack, and then you go play tennis.
So you basically eat a lot.
And then you come back and you play tennis, and then you come back and you check Actors Access again. So you just kind of,
Oh, is that how it works?
because you want to submit yourself as quickly as possible.
Yeah. You didn't know the tennis part? Yeah.
Oh,
That's integral to any
I
career.
just did the eating.
Do the sites require money? Like you were talking about having a pro account. Is there more likelihood of booking jobs if you spend more money on sort of registering for these types of sites?
Yeah, it is a very expensive route to go, especially with Casting Frontier, that charges like $25 per video or $10 per photo. So every single time you submit to one of these breakdowns, you literally have to pay $30 if you want to get submitted.
Wow, that's expensive.
And
Really
it's-
expensive.
Yeah.
And it's different. Like some of them, like it's a subscription, and then you pay a little less when you or some of them it's free, but it costs to put your photos up. I just do my best.
Yeah.
And they all kind of have different structures. And backstage, I found I was paying too much, and it's like every 6 months you kind of look at it and you're like, I'm paying too much for the subscription, and I'm not booking a lot. So I canceled that one. And
Yeah.
and there's the one that my manager absolutely insists that I be on, and then everything else is like, yeah, you got
The more services you want, the more expensive it's going to be.
Mm-hmm.
To add your reel is going to be something else. To add another reel,
Yeah.
that's more money, more pictures. If you want hair and makeup, that's a whole nother fee. Yeah.
Do people still print out headshots?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
Every now and then you need a hard copy,
Right. Yeah,
especially
they
for
require-
theater, something like that.
Right.
But these days, if I'm very terrible, if they don't say in the casting call, bring
bring
a
it.
headshot, I don't, because I'll just carry around the same ratty, dinged up headshot. Nobody wants it. They're like, no, we've got you online. We feel fine.
Yeah.
I feel good. And how does it work for voice acting?
It's actually really similar. there's an arc. So basically, when you're coming into voiceover, most people these days, you're coming in, you're signing up for these pay-to-play sites, is what they're called, right? So you'll pay a certain subscription fee, and then you can submit for certain auditions. And then there are schemes set up whereby those people who run these sites take a certain percentage of whatever you make, or depending on the site. For me, these days, most of my work comes through my agents and manager. But there was a time when everything I did was through those pay-to-play sites. That's how I kind of cut my teeth, if you will.
I would
So
think
it's
that
critical.
if your voice sounds like yours, you could just call up and be like, "Hello,"
Are you
And they'd be
interested
like,
in
"You're
this
hired."
at all?
and we
But
would like to hire
it's
you.
a cliche, though, that in the voiceover world, it's not about the voice. I mean, it's part of it, obviously, but certain voice timbres open or close certain doors for you. But it really is what you do with it.
Mm-hmm.
That's what he said.
I don't get it.
And then another interesting thing about technology and voice work is that once you book it, you can do it from home.
That's very for the most part, that's true. Here in LA, though, there are a lot of jobs that are done at the studios because they want their people there, and they want somebody directing you. And there is a certain electricity or chemistry that happens when someone's there, as opposed to, say, over ISDN or these other technologies that allow you to connect. But most of my work is probably done either through ISDN or Wild. Basically, I'm just doing it myself with some direction, submitting it, and then they'll tell me if it was good, give me notes, have it do again, whatever.
All right, this brings us to our number one list of the week. It's from Backstage. I found when I was researching for this show, I found that Backstage has the most information. I feel like they're a publication, maybe in addition to being a casting or auditioning service.
They put a lot of articles and stuff.
They have a lot of articles, yeah. So these are the 7 signs of a casting scam from Backstage.
Oh, I need this advice.
Yeah, you do. And we have a Rose story coming up. And also, I think Virginia has
Oh,
a story
boy.
too. So number 7, and Jack, you're going to help me with this, right?
Sure.
Number 7 is if they say that they accept calls after 10 p.m. Because there
Yeah.
would be no reason for that.
Little red flag.
Yeah. Go ahead, Jack.
Number 6, all types needed. So in other words, they have no idea who they're looking for, what they're looking for. No.
Willing
please.
people.
I see a lot of that.
You do.
Yeah, I really do. It says like no age, no
But
gender.
I'll tell
no-
you, for a voice guy, when we as voice actors, when we see that means it's a little disturbing because it means they really don't know what they're looking for
Right.
at all. If they don't know what sex they want, if they don't know, what register or any references whatsoever, I see it as unlikely that it's going to work out.
Right.
Because if they'd have no clue, then I probably don't know what to even do, where to start.
Yeah.
And I think it can also be dangerous too because I'm just looking for someone I can take advantage of.
Absolutely.
Is what they're basically
Yeah.
saying.
Do you think that also might be but then I was looking at it more as like a positive than a negative because it might be a sign of the times.
If they're yeah.
Because it's like nowadays it's more like who cares what the gender and the person is, it's like we just want somebody who's good, good. So it's like I was thinking of it like more like a nondescript kind of thing of like come in and we'll see how we gel.
How about if I told you, I'm going to tell you a story, and it's about this person named Frank, and you're like, what's Frank like? You're like, it doesn't matter. So anyway, Frank goes, it's like,
Frank is gender neutral.
Yeah.
Lori, I was thinking that if it were extras, it might make sense because, we need people in the background. But even if they were just describing the person's characteristics, they'd say, we need someone kind of gritty who, can ride a
I see that.
skateboard or tap dance. There'd be something.
Yeah, okay. That I was thinking more along the lines of like, because you see those like when they post those things about like this is terrible, where it's like we need like a busty blonde,
Oh,
or
well, yeah, right.
like or like a an old woman with who hasn't been in love and hates people, and it's like okay, yeah, right.
Pick me.
I mean I'm gonna submit, but
I'm sitting right here.
Number 5 is if they're advertising on Craigslist. I guess this is not where you want to go to look for acting roles.
But I know people who booked off Craigslist, at least voice acting jobs.
Oh,
that have
really?
been reputable.
Yeah,
Do you
I
know
was
that?
gonna say even with like commercial work, I've gotten a small commercial that paid a lot more than I would expect.
And you did not get murdered?
I didn't get murdered.
Not
It
yet.
was legit.
Were you perhaps murdered and then replicated? Do you know that? Would you
That's
know
a
that?
good
Could be.
question.
You never
Wow.
know.
Just putting it out there.
Okay. But so proceed with caution. Proceed because I mean, for every positive Craigslist story, I'm sure there's 500 where that like you waste your day going back and forth in emails, and they're like, oh, we're not going to pay you, and you're like, I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Number 4.
Number 4 is rush casting calls.
They're putting a deadline on it. Like, we need you to submit like by midnight tonight. If you order now, it comes with
For $19.99.
yeah.
But
Yeah, that's-
for me, though, I'll say most of my stuff is need this back right now. It has to be done in the
That's
next
the
hour.
speed
That's
of
And you
through an
haven't been
agency.
murdered.
That's through an
That's
agent.
true. You're right. Okay, so it's coming through an agency or maybe.
Yeah. Because sometimes they do need things in a hurry.
Yeah.
But if it's like a Craigslist ad where they need something right now,
Right.
that's like they know that human nature responds to urgency.
Wheezy, you're ruining all my avenues for finding people to murder. This is disturbing.
Oh, awkward.
Number 3. Is that you, Jack?
That's
or-
you, actually.
Oh, be wary of inspirational messages. I guess there's some ads that are just like, "Hey, you can do it," and
Yeah.
oh, have you? Give me an example of that.
Well, specifically on Star Now,
Okay.
there's been a lot of like, do you want to be a star? You're a star. Do you have a great smile? You're a star. It's like all this stuff just forcing stardom down your throat.
It's like, stop, Oprah.
Yeah.
I know you don't work here.
You get a car.
Number 2.
Number 2, promises of high pay.
Yeah, that
especially
sounds a
for
little-
with no when they say like you don't need a headshot, you don't need any experience.
What do you
You're gonna-
got? Whatever you got is
Just
good.
whatever you got, and it's going to be a lot of
And
money.
bring your passport. Yeah.
Bring your passport and all your organs.
Name, your social
Aw, damn
security,
it.
Credit
We're
card.
kidding. Just your livers.
And number 1,
That's you, Weezy.
bold claims. We can make you a star. Because like no one can promise that.
Right.
Right? I mean, even you saw the odds of all the people that were at the Emmy Awards last night, even that were nominated, there were like 8 losers. Not that it's not great to be nominated for an Emmy. Think of all the great shows that were on the air that weren't even nominated for an Emmy. And then the people that were nominated for an Emmy, it seems like there were like 7 or 8 people in every category, and there can only be one winner. So the odds of becoming a star or a working actor aren't great at all, and nobody can promise you that they are. They're lying. You just have to look at the statistics. Most people that come out here to make it in the entertainment field will find maybe some other avenue where they can do what they love, but it might not be in front of a camera because it doesn't work out that way.
Are you saying that people lie in this business? 'Cause this is disturbing to me.
But the
you
key,
should go into politics because it's
the key is to
Truth
not
is-
look at those statistics, though.
Right.
Don't
How
look
are
at
you?
the
How are
stats.
you going to really
Yeah.
fuel self delusion if you're looking at numbers? Well, yeah, no, they can say that, but they don't have the vision boards I have.
That's a good point. That is a really good point, Virginia. And I know that everyone at this table is going to make it in show business. And there's a million ways to have a career as an actor
Right. That are not famous.
that are not famous, but are successful and fulfilling. And I think it's always good to be more than one thing. To be an actor writer, an actor director, or and learn how to edit. Like all the tools are at your fingertips to know how to do everything.
It's
learn.
true, because then you can
We're
fail at a
very-
lot of things at once.
You can fail at so many things. There's just so much fun, creative stuff that you can do. Or, if you're good at graphic design or if, whatever, if you're good at music, whatever else you're good at, you don't have to be one thing in your lifetime. You can be a hyphenate. You can be a whole lot of different things and find a way to make that work and network with other people that need someone who can do this or need someone who could do that and have a great idea. As long as it's people that you love working with, because you're going to wind up doing most of the work yourself. That's how it always is.
And that's the beauty of LA, isn't it, Weezy? Is that there's so many people who are also striving or who have made it at various stages of their career, but so nurturing, right? You find so many people who you can collaborate with, who you can be inspired by. I just love that about this town. It's
Yeah,
wonderful.
because if you don't make it as an actor, you can have a podcast. Yeah. Do you guys have any scam stories that you would like to share? Or
You mean a scam I'd like to propagate right now, or things that have been done?
has Jack scammed you?
Recently,
I
but
think-
that's important.
I think we can learn from experience because everyone comes in here wide-eyed and there's this desperation that people will take advantage of. So you always have to hashtag me too, and you always have to be aware that there's somebody who's going to use all of your wonderful energy to your disadvantage. So just be aware.
I mean, I had a couple fun ones, and you live and learn. And if you don't, if you stop living, you don't have to learn anymore. But when I first got here, I was telling Louise I was in a terrible vampire play, and it's been running for 10 years at Hollywood in La Brea.
So it's so bad it's good.
It's I don't know if it's even that bad. But I got to be, it's like it was one of those things where you go in for your audition and everybody at the audition is terrible. I'm like, oh, I'm definitely going to book this. And then everybody at the audition shows up to first rehearsal and you're like, oh shit.
Is this Murders Mysteries?
There are several plays that run at this theater. The Peruvians. Yeah, exactly.
Ooh, Wendy knew she was going to get it.
She used a name. Yeah, for sure. And they're all terrible, and they're bringer theater, and they just want you to go in.
Bringer theater.
Everybody who works with
I've
you,
done
everybody
that.
from the Jamba Juice, and I just did a tape at Intrepid next door, and I was like, I did a really terrible vampire play over there, and the girl recording me was like, yeah, a lot of our actors are like, the first thing I did when I came to town was I was in a terrible play next door. Everybody. And
You're lucky.
Yeah, I'm staying out of that one.
well, yeah, and it was one of those things where I knew it was a scam while I was doing it, but I did enjoy.
It's not a scam as
It's
far as
just-
that. It's just that you're doing bad theater.
You're doing bad theater and you're taking advantage of your friends. Like in comedy, we're very sensitive to the concept of bringer shows
We are.
because it's not a good show. It makes your friends spend money, and it makes a whole bunch of people walk out of a room going, well, that comedy's not good.
You basically do it once.
Yeah.
You
and
do
then
it
you're
once
like, oh, I see what this is.
on your birthday when all your friends at work tell you how funny you are. So you do that once before you get into stand-up. And then you learn never to bother your friends with your own career aspirations. It's not their problem.
If you still have friends,
Oh, boy.
you are not a stand-up.
There was a reason why now.
People ask you, can you bring 5 people? You're like, I don't know 5 non-comics.
Yeah.
Like
There's
all-
a reason why all of my
That's so
friends are
true.
stand-ups. Like
Yeah.
and like to this point to where I have like I'll have people I work with who are like, oh, invite me to a show, and I'm like, no, I like you, like
Right.
I want us to still remain friends.
And so that was, I think that's kind of a scam because it is sucking money out of your friends and it's putting on bad shows that never get any better.
So do people show up?
Oh yeah,
They do.
Like
and
from the public? Or?
no.
Oh, they bust them in.
It's one of those things. Yeah, it's one of those things where it's like a high school play where you flyer your whole neighborhood and you're like, we're really going to set the world on fire with our interpretation of cabaret. But then anyone who shows up who's not a parent, there is something wrong with them. Like,
Yeah.
why are you here?
Yeah.
Right.
It's like that. Everybody's there because they know somebody. I had one call that was really interesting because it was like, we want you to come in and be like a radio personality, but it's a it's a Facebook Live type situation. And I go in for the audition thingy and it feels like tech money. There's a lot of money. There's an inside bar. I'm like, okay, this is not a casting studio. Everything's very clean. And I sit down with this guy and this other comic and he's explaining to us, he's like, so we've got these little stations set up and it's a live, you're interacting. We want you to build an audience and it's 8 hours a day, like a regular job, and we'll pay this much. And you're going to be, you can do games, you can sing songs, you can do whatever you want. And I was like, but it's a live audience. He's like, and it's a subscription. You need to get people to subscribe. I'm like, oh, this is a cam girl thing at night. And in the day, you're looking for a legitimate acting, like a comedy thing.
Oh, you cracked it.
And it was so funny because his assistant burst into laughter, and she was like, "Yeah, that's what it is." I'm like, I don't think those two things go together. I think if I sit in front of a webcam in front of people who subscribe to a cam girl thing, I don't think what I do is what they want.
Yeah, it's
You
like
know.
having to be the comic before the strip show.
Yes,
Yeah.
which Richie is in his role.
Oh, Richie. Oh, was that you
That was him
in the movie?
in the movie.
Yeah.
his character.
Oh, that's right.
That's
Yeah.
exactly what he did.
Yes.
And people threw stuff at him.
See, learn from Flashdance. I think we
Yes.
all need to learn from Flashdance.
But
Now, Rose,
yeah,
you had
low-level scams.
you had a disturbing story that you were telling me at my mom's house.
I did. It wasn't too long ago, and basically, I knew somebody in LA through a mutual friend, and he was friends with a very famous, in quotes, French director named, probably shouldn't say names.
I already said one.
Anyway, he created a Western film and put out a casting, and my friend reached out to me and said, there's this French director who's looking for somebody with your look and your voice and everything you've got, he wants. I said, okay, great. This is amazing. Let me audition. So I sent in an audition tape to his company, his production company, and I heard back from them 2-3 days later saying, we'd like you to do a second audition. Please play the part of a girl named Grace. I said, okay, great. This is working. Fabulous. So I did my second self-tape. Then I got a call back the next day saying, Rose, from the director, saying, Rose, we would love to hire you. You fit the role. You're perfect. When can you come in and meet the team? And it became very surreal. I was like in shock that I was going to be in a feature film. And Burt Reynolds was actually meant to play my father in the role. And they said to me, we're going to be shooting in Arizona, and we're going to need you to book out from May to June, the month of May to June, to be filming in Arizona at this ranch. And I said, great, I'm really excited, blah, blah, blah. Long story short, time went on, and I was contacted weekly by a woman named Jessica, who was the secretary at the production company. And she said to me, Rose, I just want to make sure you're on track and you're still ready for the role. Here is our 368 or 9-page script that we would like to send to you to look over, and please learn your lines as quick as you can and get ready for this character because we're going to be filming any week now. So time went on. 2 or 3 weeks later, I didn't hear anything. I get a call from the director saying, hello, Rose, we're so excited. You're going to be doing a screen test in the next coming weeks, and we would love for you to drive down to San Diego to a ranch that we have where we're going to do a test shoot. And I said, okay, but how's this working? Am I getting a contract? What's the deal? Is this a SAG film? Is it non-union? And he said, no, this is a SAG production. We're going to taft-heartedly you. We want to make it all perfect for you, blah, blah, blah. Long story short, time flies by, and maybe a month goes by, and I don't hear from anybody. Then I get an email from Jessica saying, we want you to meet us at this ranch this coming Sunday. This was Friday afternoon. I got the email. I said, Jessica, I really need a contract before I can go any further. My manager at the time was asking me, like, where is the contract? We need to see some paperwork here, not just a script. I said, okay, I'll try and get the contract. So I write back saying I really need the contract. Then I get a really nasty email from Jessica saying,
such a bitch.
How dare you ask for a contract? You are an amateur in this business. You have no idea who you're speaking with. We are the top of the line in LA. You can never ask somebody like us for a contract. You're a terrible human being. Like, all of a sudden it got really emotional.
Wow.
And they were sending me email messaging back and forth saying, you're so inexperienced. Then another email would come in. How dare you? Another email would come in. Who do you think you are? Like, threats almost.
Is Jessica like 14?
It seemed like it. So I...
Have you learned all your lines too at this point?
Oh, yeah.
Why is the
And booked
manager
out.
not handling
And you're booked
that?
out.
I also flew back. I went to visit my family in Australia, and I flew back from Australia for this date because I thought that it was time to be filmed. And they were contacting me saying, we hope you're coming back and blah, blah, blah. So I really had my hopes up, and I was going to be playing Burt Reynolds' daughter. It was all on IMDb. The whole production was on IMDb.
Is it?
It still is now. We can pull it up if you want.
That'd be interesting.
What's the name of it?
It's called The French Cowboy.
You guys want to look for that?
Oh, well.
You know, because Burt Reynolds he was so French.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
I've got bad news for you about Burt Reynolds, actually.
He's bad.
Yeah, he's not going to make it to the
He's not going to make it to, the test
set,
shoot.
To the set, yeah, no.
Too soon.
He wanted to. So then, how did you finally figure out what was going on?
So the friend of mine that had introduced me to this French director contacted me. Well, actually, I called him and I said, listen, like, there is something seriously wrong with this. I don't know what has happened or what's going on, but this is obviously a scam. And he says to me, Rose, I'm so sorry to tell you. I wish I had called you 2 months ago to tell you. But the whole thing is a scam. SAG posted a notice saying, do not work with this production company, Western Film Adventures. Stay away, all actors. It was like a huge warning from SAG. And he showed me and he said, we actually had girls, like 3 or 4 girls, went to the test shoot at this ranch and nobody knows what happened to them.
Oh my God.
But they were all to be playing like Burt Reynolds' family members in this production. So it was multiple people that he...
Well, did they come back? Are they?
I have no idea.
We're going to get a new Blair Witch movie.
This is it, yeah.
Yeah, the only person on IMDb is the director who we're not saying his name, but everyone can look up The French Cowboy.
There it
They
is.
must
So
have
it's still
taken
there.
Burt Reynolds off.
Yeah, Burt Reynolds is...
I wonder what
He's a hard pass.
What Louis L'Amour novel did they steal that graphic?
Oh my gosh.
It's really unfortunate
Wait,
because
what's the-
actors, we just want to act and we're
Yeah,
easily
enjoy.
taken advantage of.
Yeah.
Well, because it can be so like loosey-goosey, and you could be part of like a great indie film or like a great outside of the box piece of art, but you could also be in a made-up weird scam designed to lure young women to San Diego.
Yeah.
So why the whole back and forth, back and forth?
Oh,
Yeah.
it went
that
on.
was weird.
She wasn't
Literally-
driving down there.
Yeah, she was.
It went on
yeah.
for 7 or 8 months.
She was like, I need a
Back and
contract.
forth.
Weird.
Other girls were just
Yeah.
driving down.
I
go
was
ahead.
going to say, in my neighborhood coffee shop, I'd go in there and I'd see this guy, and I heard him speak. And oddly enough, he was a French guy. He's not the guy in the picture, but he was a French guy. And then one by one, these incredibly beautiful women would go and sit with him. And he would open a big book and he'd talk to them for about a half an hour. And then they'd leave. And then another one would come. And I would watch this day after day. I probably watched him talk to 20 or 30 incredibly beautiful young women. So I
Wait, were
was
you
like,
one of them, Rose?
I just want to say, ironically enough, I wasn't one of them, but I know that he was meeting girls in coffee shops.
Yeah.
Oh my.
I think this is the guy. So
That's
I
how
went,
he was getting these girls.
it was weird to me. So I went up to him. I said, dude, what is going on here? What's happening?
Just because he passed.
And he said, I'm sorry?
Oh, that's what's going on in French.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Oh, wow. You're good. You're good. Anyway, I said, what's going on? I'm sitting here. I see beautiful woman after beautiful woman. What's going on? I am doing a movie, and
this
he
is
has
him.
a
It's
big
him.
book, and I'm Tom Hanks, and Angelina
Le
Jolie,
Bourgeois.
and we are going to do it, and this is the scenery and the location, and
Connais-le.
This is
Smokey
him.
and the Bandit.
I am Pierre, or whatever.
That's
So
weird.
this is going on. And so I'm in there one day, he's not there, and this beautiful young woman comes in, and she walks up to me, and she goes, are you Pierre? And I went,
Vic.
no. And you have to know that this is not real. This is a scam.
That's not how
You're being
casting
scammed.
works. Right.
And she said, no, I'm not. No, it's a real thing. And he's got an office and a real place. I said, no, it's a scam. Please believe me and be very, very careful. But her desire to work was so great that she could not believe me.
It sounds like an episode of What Would You Do?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Wow, that's so crazy.
I've-
Yeah,
You're-
I tried
Convinced
to
it's the
intercede.
same person.
but-
You did the right thing. You,
guys
would have been the hero of the whole segment.
I wish I knew
tried.
you earlier. I really do.
Wow.
Oh my gosh. So do you guys use social media to promote, and how do you curate the image of yourself that because you want to just be a person posting on social media, but you also know that any prospective employers are watching. So how do you manage that?
Well, the key is trying to create authenticity.
Thank you.
Trying to manufacture.
Yeah, creating authenticity. That's
Yeah.
really the whole key. And once you've got that down, you're
That's actually a good question because I kind of wondered that about actors because strictly actors. Like for me personally, I'm a comedian, so my goal is to be funny online and try and be as funny as possible. And it really doesn't necessarily matter my viewpoints on things as long as I have a funny slant. But then as an actor, like is it worrisome? Like maybe you don't want to be too funny because you don't want people to think, oh, that's the funny one, but they can't take them seriously. So like, how do you kind of present yourself?
For instance, I won't talk about politics online
At all?
No, because I don't know what a person's political stance is who wants to hire a voice actor, and I just honestly I just don't really care for it anyway. Talking about it online, but there is that thought in my head. I don't want to put myself out there and potentially shut off business because of I'm known as this guy. And I do curate it. I'm sure we all do. It's great when we can be seen at great events like the one I saw you at, Wheezy.
Right.
Those things matter. There's no question about it. In fact, I'd say that 70% of what I do online is more about marketing than it is about connecting with my friends, although it is that. But honestly, that's the truth in my situation.
Yeah, I agree with that too. I really try to make my social media as professional as possible because I actually have gotten a lot of work through social media. Like I'll reach out to agents or casting directors and send them a private message saying who I am. Please check out my work, and they will see because they'll look at my page and see that it's professional looking.
How would you say that, though? That's a very aggressive move. How would you say that without being too pushy? Like, how do you
because
couch
let
it?
me just point out that on this list
It says
of
don't
do's
do it.
and don'ts,
Right.
number 7 is don't contact industry professionals if you don't know them. So it's good that you didn't read that rule because sometimes you have to break rules to get somewhere in life.
I feel like if you read every single rule on Backstage, you will sit at home twiddling your thumbs and never be an actor.
It's also like Backstage, like loses if you reach out to that's what Backstage does, right? So like they're gonna tell you not to like go straight to the people because they're the middleman.
Because I feel like
right?
if you reach out to somebody and if you reply to their tweet in a fun way, that's engagement. And if they think, oh, this is a cool person, I mean, we meet people in all kinds of different social ways. I don't know that there are any hard and fast rules in terms of how you present yourself. You can't be too pushy. But what about you, Virginia? I mean, you have a really great personality. I think you know that about yourself, that if you reach out to someone that they may be charmed by you. So you must feel like sometimes that's the great thing to do.
I mean, I don't think, I'm up for meeting people at parties and like networky things and being like, hi, do you need any crazy people?
I do tap dance.
I do. I tap dance.
Shuffle, hop, step.
There you go.
But my big thoughts about my social media presence, and it feels so douchey to even discuss, but it has come up with like friends and acquaintances and boyfriends particularly, where they're like, I'll make a joke and then they'll disrupt or redirect or do something that I just don't like, and I have to contact them personally, go like, I'm trying to have fun, so I understand that you're a flat earther, or I understand I'm just, this is not what this is about, and this is not what this is for. So let's just take that off. And I do prioritize talking about, telling stories and telling adventures, posting pictures of myself at cool places. Because there is a difference between that and, I mean, we're all of us curating ourselves to some point, but it has come up in various ways of like, hey, I don't like how this, please take that down, or please untag me, or whatever it is, because I don't want this to be
right.
It's like, sorry to be a jerk hole, I've got almost 5,000 friends, and that means I don't have any friends.
Yeah, it feels like Facebook is more of the place that's just full of everyone you know,
right,
where everyone just sort of treats it like a party that we're all at, and that maybe Twitter can be more business or more just kind of people.
Twitter's a great place for people to tell you what's wrong with you all the time.
Really good. They do, but it feels like it's less people that I actually know in real life. So
for sure.
There's less of that going on. But on Facebook, everyone just feels like, oh, she's in this picture, just tag her.
Yeah.
But you know what? Also, Weezy, there's some of the most successful people I know, at least in the voiceover business, where you can be more incognito, I guess, have no real presence at all on social media. They don't have anything to do with it. Mm-hmm. And they don't need to. It's not important to them.
Because their work is they get from their work.
they're not going to be hurting for work. They
Right.
don't need to seek it out, really.
Or they
There's
might
no-
have a Facebook page that isn't their real name that they're friends with. They're friends with their friends, and no one else. The people don't
That's true.
know.
Maybe that's true.
I
There's
just-
nothing like Insta Voice where it's just voices. And you guys,
It's called a podcast.
yeah, just Insta Voice. Yeah, that's
I just had a recent epiphany kind of thing that I know it sounds dumb to say out loud, but that social media should be used as like a tool. Because for a while, because I grew up with social media, so it was always kind of there.
Mm-hmm.
So I always felt like it was just like a second edition, like if I wanted to express something. But lately, because I was very political during the election, I would post a lot of things and I would get in a lot of arguments. So people that I would see in real life would be like, "Oh, I'm surprised that you're nice to me because we got in that huge fight." And I was like, to be honest, I have no idea what you're talking about.
Right.
And so I realized that I was a little too aggressive with my beliefs. So I've done what you've done, which is I'll get into a mode where I feel like I have to, but then it's one of those things was why do you have to? You can just say that to a friend or, but what I've done is deleted all of my tweets, and I'm working on my Instagram and Facebook for the last, up until this year. And I'm just going to do that now. So for every year, I'm going to just delete everything. So it's I only have 1 year worth of things because
I've
I've
certainly
cool.
seen a lot of people lose gigs for old tweets, man.
Yeah.
Things that don't have the right flavor now.
Yeah.
They don't have the flavor of now.
Yeah.
one bad
And that
bad
was-
hashtag can
That
ruin
was
it for
part
you.
of it too, because it's I was looking through my tweets and I felt like I don't feel like I have anything, but who knows in the next 5 years or so if maybe something I tweeted out now will then be seen as something that's offensive. So I was like, if I have to rely on something I've done in the past, then that might not be the best. So now it's just I am just my social media is going to be just within the year.
You never know because, a year from now we could be like, oh my God, she was bad driver shaming.
Yeah.
That's just so not okay.
Also, I use Instagram and Facebook way too much as a scrapbook of sorts.
Right.
I
I
have
do.
all of my pictures on there to the point now where I've been working on saving them, and it's that I shouldn't be doing that. I should be having either scrapbooks or saving them someplace else so I have a way to
I
save
don't know.
it.
There's a should for every person just based on how you want to use it. It's technology. You can use it however you choose to use it. But I think it's different if part of your career is to be presenting yourself. Everybody wants to curate how they're presented, no matter what their career is. But we have careers where we're presenting this brand of this person, what she says. And I think it's especially tempting if you're funny by nature to want to use social media to make people smile. And so we may be at greater risk of offending somebody because in order to make someone smile, there's a darkness usually somewhere within the joke.
But you're going to offend somebody somewhere, no matter almost what you do. Even by sharing a success or something, you might offend someone.
Well then,
I mean, and I know that's getting into the weeds, but we do have. Even though I said that I'm curating and carefully culling what I put on and stuff. I'm not that careful. I mean, I do just sometimes I just say something or throw something up, and I can't be that crazy about it, can I?
I don't think so. I don't think you can overthink it, and I do think it's okay, Lori, to apologize for a tweet and to say,
and I would like that apology right now, please.
I am
rather
sorry.
than
I've said it a million times.
That's what you've decided to do, go in and delete everything. But I also think it's okay 5 years from now to say, I'm really sorry that I made fun of people who trip on stage. I know now that there's no joke in tripping.
The benefits of my personality is that I still will be apologizing for things. So it's not that I won't say something that somebody will be offended by. I will always say, and so because I have very hard opinions about things that I know very little about, and that's always been something.
That's why you're on my show.
Yeah.
Sister.
So I'm constantly
Bring it.
I believe this with 1,000%, and somebody will be like, "Well, have you considered this option?" I'm like, I believe that with 1,000%.
Right.
So I changed my opinion very fast, and so I constantly am getting in arguments. On
You'd be
social
really
media.
good at the Iowa caucus because there'd be someone on the other side of the gym going, "No, this is the right guy." Lori'd be like, "Okay,
Yeah.
you've made an excellent point."
Yeah. I'm just like, you know what? Maybe.
Yeah.
Who knows?
As a comic, I think it serves me to have political opinions. And everybody know, if you step to me, you're just going to find out that I'm even more lefty than you ever could have possibly imagined. Although sometimes I'm like, I've been looking through tweets, desperately looking for monologue jokes for a packet submit I'm working on, and I'm like, oh, all of my tweets are either about women's health care or gun control. I'm like, I only have 2 speeds. None of this is useful to me.
Well, that's why I found after the election that Facebook was not the place for me to express political outrage, because I would say something and then I'd leave the room and I'd come back and my friends were on there arguing with each other. And I don't know.
Many's the time
like, hey,
I have
you
had
guys.
to,
And that got me a lot more interested in Twitter, because you could just kind of put hashtag resistance in your profile and
the others will find you.
And you're not, I don't know these people. And if there's some Russian bot yelling at me, I'm like, okay, you're probably a bot.
Well, how about if we just, I don't think there's anything that's necessarily off limits, but it's really the way you go about it, right? It's like if you're at a party, 2 people can bring up the exact same topic and say even the same words, but it's kind of the way you do it sometimes that really makes the difference. So say what you want to say, but maybe make it interesting or funny or something. But no, it's the meanness. I think.
No, the name calling, like you can't just call people names, or
that hurts.
That just degrades the level of discourse. Like can we just respect? I understand that people feel what they feel for whatever reasons inside. They could be fueled by hope or fear or outrage or just a feeling of shame or hurt or being left out or whatever is fueling their political views that is valid. That doesn't make them a bad person. It just they've just seen the world differently from me.
Yeah.
And so I don't want to get into all that on Facebook because I'm busy, I have video games to play.
No, that's ultimately the lesson. The 2 lessons of Facebook are, one, what the Russians were ultimately trying to do was pry us further apart and keep us from talking to each other and like have everybody like screaming, like bumper stickers at each other. But 2, I've forgotten what it was, but it was a really good point.
And to make us not be able to remember the important things in life.
Exactly. But that sometimes that essentially, if I get in a fight with somebody on Facebook, all it's going to do is going to burn my morning. I'm going to spend the whole day refreshing on you better.
Oh, yeah.
You don't dare to come back. I owned you so hard, and then it's noon. And I'm all full of like anxiety and like bad feelings, and I have to get on with the rest of my day.
And every time you read how they've responded, because they have their talking points, your blood pressure rises. I don't need that feeling. It's not a good feeling.
And at the end of it, they haven't convinced me, and I haven't convinced them.
I realize that I've gone way in the weeds when I've typed what I need to type on a Word document and then copy and paste it to make sure that it's all structured.
That's crazy. I use notes myself.
I actually have a question, because I find that like I'm actually better at networking on social media. Like I actually book a lot of my gigs, my stand-up gigs on social media. I talk to people better on social media. If I'm invited to something or if I'm at a party, it's so hard for me to talk.
Go with Jack.
Yeah.
He went right up to Stamos.
I actually had when I went to Montreal, like this was years ago, I went with my family, and there was a guy, we went to these after parties, and there was a guy who was talking to my brother, and he was like, "Hey, it was really nice talking to you. I'm sorry I didn't get to see you perform." And my brother's like, "No, I'm not the performer. My sister is." And he was pointing to me as I was like eating by the crafts table, because I was like, "Hi." I feel like, is it just as important to still have the skills at networking person to person, or is it like social networking now?
Build
is
on
more
your strengths. Don't beat yourself up for not being able to good face to face.
But as like an actor, do you still need to be able to have that like person?
You're going to have to go to an audition one of these days.
Awkward.
And you don't get to go to an audition and go, "Can I text you what I was going to say?"
Yeah. Or I could Snapchat it.
But I think an audition is different than a party, because an audition is like, that's an appointment. They're expecting you. And a party, I always feel like a party is like, well, nobody really wants to talk to me. And I am pretty good one-on-one as long as the person was expecting me. Yeah. But I'm not good at like calling someone and interrupting anything, because I don't know that I just don't know. I don't have the confidence that they want to stop what they were doing to address me.
You're a party favor.
I'm a party favor. Aw, Wendy.
Just talk to me whenever you need that to happen.
Well, that's why, when I'm with Trish, I'm okay. But
I feel like especially I don't know if it's just me, or especially in LA, when you go to events, people are more standoffish, because like if you're not known, then they don't want to know you. Is that true, or is it?
That's true anywhere, though. I mean,
Yeah. Like, they could
whatever
be shy,
world
too.
you want to
Not
be
in
in, there's a
Michigan.
hierarchy of people who are known and all that, and there's always trying people break into it. So
Nice.
LA just
Not
seems like it's writ
Australia.
larger because that's where your passion is, I think, and it's more visible to the world. But it's the same everywhere.
Yeah, and what I tell people, I'm not always able to sort of take my own advice, but what I tell people is like, no one was born with their job. Everyone had to earn it in some way or whatever, so they don't get to make you feel like they have something that you're not worthy of, because they had to figure out a way to achieve it and accomplish it. So I'm not into like anybody looking at another person as though there's different values applied. That's ridiculous. We're all humans. We were all given life.
Yeah. I also think it's dependent on the people too. Like I know some people, but also people give off a vibe that necessarily they don't have. Like I remember one time I was leaving like a theater event, and it was like sort of like a party, but it was like a show and then a party afterwards. And then somebody was like, "Oh, you should tell Lori." I'm gonna give myself a compliment, but she's like, "You should tell Lori. She was really funny." She's like, "Nah, I don't think she wants to talk to anybody." Like I heard that, and I was like, and then I was like, kind of like, no, I want to, but then I didn't want to also seem like I was seeking out a compliment. So I was like,
No, but also if you come off stage and nobody tells you that you were good, you're just like, oh, I guess I
Yeah.
wasn't good.
What's that like?
When I was a little baby comic in my home club in Portland, Oregon, a real shithole that has recently closed called Harvey's Comedy Club, I would host, and then after the and like, so you do your time up top, and then you do a little bit of time in between comics, and you don't really tell any jokes. You're just supposed to say where the bathrooms are and like who's coming next week and where the t-shirts will be sold. And at the end, like you kind of like wrap everything up. And then I would just wander the theater like a little ghost, waiting for someone to say something nice, like seeking out eye contact, and like just desperate for any positive feedback at all. Like, like who the fuck would ever say about a performer, oh, she doesn't want to talk to, don't go tell her she's funny. That's a waste of her time.
The thing is,
you don't know performers.
They might think that you already know you're funny, and why would you want to talk to
Right.
them?
Although one of my favorite things now is, especially in the internet age, and I think a lot of Twitter interaction is like this, they feel like they're a schmuck if they go up to you and say, Kyle, you're so great. So they want to give you a little like, I think it would have been pretty good if you done this instead.
Oh, they give you advice.
To let you know, like just give you something backhanded,
Right.
like, you were almost as funny as your co-host. Well, shut up. Roll up your butt and stick
or
it.
the
I don't get it.
opposite I find is that like I'll walk up to somebody and be like, "Oh, hey, you're really funny," and then they'll be like, "What part? What? Where? What?"
Right.
And
Oh my
and I'm like,
God.
and then
Yeah.
I freeze, and I'm like, "Oh, I honestly can't remember a single
The
thing."
part you stole from me,
Yeah.
that was pretty funny.
Did you guys ever do this thing where after a show you'd come out and then you'd try to pretend like you weren't interested in what people had to say to you, so you tried to be really cool. You just like walk through them, and and I used to smoke, so I'd go right outside and start smoking, waiting for people to come up and talk to me and tell me how great I was. But they must have said, "Oh, that guy really doesn't want to
never
talk to
been
anybody."
Yeah, and the guy finally comes up to you, and and you're smiling, and he goes, "Hey, could I bum a cigarette?"
Yeah, right.
This is off topic, but I don't care. I did a show in a shithole casino where old people go to spend all their money before they die. And I ate it, and it was great because like there's a camera and there's a monitor of you on stage, so I just got to watch myself eat it basically in like 360
yeah.
degrees. Oh, so good. And I just like for half an hour talking to a room of people who actively disliked, like didn't care if I lived or died, like wanted me to die. And then so afterwards I did my same old thing of like wandering the audience, like, did anybody?
That was
Like,
probably part of the casino strategy. It was
Oh my
like,
God.
I hate her so much, I'm just going to really feed this machine so I can have to look at it.
You get off stage and you're like, well, this is an impossible crowd. They are made of steel. My headliner absolutely murdered. They loved him.
no.
They gave him all the accolades. He's dead now, so who wins, really? But but after I was doing my desperate like eye contact thing, and this guy's like, hey, I'm like, how's your night? He's like, I'm having a good time. I'm like, great. And he like tries to buy me a drink. I'm like, well, this guy likes me. He bought me a drink. He didn't see the show.
Oh.
He didn't see the show.
He
He
liked
just saw
you.
a desperate woman looking for feedback. I'm like,
But look at all the material you
oh
got from
my
this.
God. It's like, yeah, I just got here 10 minutes
That
ago. I'm
as a
like,
comic is the worst when you are like when you have that line when you're standing up where people are exiting, and people are like, "Hey, good show, man," and then they go, "Have a good night."
And you were there. And you were there also.
Or if you're with a comedian friend and like that comedian friend is getting all the compliments and people don't even know you were in the show.
Yeah.
You know, like,
Right.
that's awesome. That's a good feeling. That's great.
Oh, you were funnier than the last person.
Yeah.
Oh, hey.
Oh, was that you?
Oh, hey. Oh, that other girl I didn't like. Oh, hello. But bringing it back, yeah, I think that, I mean, as a comic, we're tied to Facebook. I get jealous a little bit when people are like, "Oh, I'm leaving Facebook." I'm like, that is not an option because there's like, maybe 25% of my gigs I book off email. And granted, they're the good ones, they're the paid ones. But, if you go to someone and say, "Oh, yeah, I'd love to be on your show sometime," I'm not on Facebook. It's like saying I'm not a person.
Yeah, when someone says to me, I'm leaving Facebook, I want to say, "All right, see you on Facebook in a week."
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
Because they're not really leaving
Well,
back.
I've actually had to, like, now I'm at the point where I'm hoping to get better gigs, so I have to like actually record a video, but because I have to submit it to places. But before, I used to just get booked purely based off Facebook. People would be, or Twitter or whatever. People would be like, "You're so funny," and then I realized they had actually never seen me do stand up. They just see photos and then seen my
Captions
tweets and
yeah.
stuff. And so then I was like, when I showed up and I was funny, they're like, a part of them was like, "Oh, thank God."
No, you do not disappoint.
Oh,
You
thank
do-
you. That's
We're
right.
gonna
I
do-
think if somebody leaves Facebook, though, they should will their followers to someone
that
else.
nice?
I think that would be a nice thing.
Yeah. I think that's a good idea. It's like, take a friend, leave a friend kind of thing.
Have you guys ever done that? I've done that. I've made that big statement and been like, "I am never coming back," and goodbye.
I think I
And-
know myself too well.
And then,
to-
literally, 3 days later, I was like, "I'll just check and see what."
Oh, that's like the
What's
walk
going
of
on
shame.
without me?
I
What's
couldn't
going
do
on
that.
without
the
me?
walk of shame.
Yeah.
Are you guys ready for Facebook feed time while we're talking about Facebook?
Oh, yeah.
I think so. So last night was the Emmys, and my Facebook friend, Carl Reiner, and it's just like, that's a typical example of Facebook. Like, I don't actually know him. It's just he popped up that we had mutual friends, and I'm like, I'm going for it. So Carl Reiner Facebooked, enjoyed watching the Emmys Television Academy Awards, and once again was so very pleased not to see my name and photo on screen during the memoriam segment. And there's Carl Reiner winning a whole lot of Emmys.
Those are great
Very
photos.
nice.
I love those.
Yeah, I love looking at photos like that from that time period.
Yeah.
And just imagining what it would have been what it would have been like to work on those shows.
People understood contrast and lighting in those days, I'll tell you.
Yeah, they were probably burning their faces off to be looking
true.
so nice. The lighting was really harsh back then. Now we have what's Twitter trending. Did you guys check Twitter today? Because it was pretty interesting. What was Twitter trending is both Bert and Ernie. So Bert's name was trending, and then underneath it, Ernie's name was trending. And as of when I wrote this script, Bert had the lead. I'm not exact. Maybe because his name comes first.
Bert's the daddy. I
Bert
think we
comes
know that.
first in Bert and Ernie, so he was slightly ahead of Ernie in terms of trending. And so why were they trending? Of course, I had to click on it. Like, are they dead? Your first worry is like, have Bert and Ernie died? Well, Sesame Street is publicly denying a writer's claim that Bert and Ernie are gay.
This old thing.
So this follows, Mark Saltzman, a writer for Sesame Street, telling Queer Tea magazine that Bert and Ernie are gay. And Sesame Street claims they are just very good friends. And so we have a tweet from Sesame Workshop. I guess they wanted to weigh into the controversy. Please see our statement below regarding Bert and Ernie. And Bert and Ernie are best friends. They remain puppets and do not have a sexual orientation.
They have no genitals, therefore they can't really be gay.
Well, but then that was followed by, I found this tweet from Eugene
Oh, no, I'm
Gu,
gonna flip.
MD. And this guy, we have to listen very carefully to his tweet because he is a doctor.
Mm-hmm.
Eugene Gu, MD, tweets, if Muppets like Bert and Ernie have no sexual orientation, what about Miss Piggy and Kermit the Frog?
They have a deeply flawed, abusive relationship.
Yeah.
So they do at least have like a
But they do-
romantic
That's
orientation.
like a
Right.
like a
That's true.
BDSM.
Yeah. It's
So,
really
relationship.
kinky. But where only one of them is enjoying it.
Yeah, I truly believe that
Which
they're
one?
gay.
Which-
but they're not in a relationship.
Bert
Or
and
Bert
Ernie?
and Ernie?
Yeah.
They just are gay.
Do
I
they
think
know
they're
they're
but
gay?
not for each other.
Do you think
I
they
think
know
they're
they're
gay.
gay?
I think that Bert is straight and Ernie's gay.
Oh, so it's like a Ian McClellan and the one
Right,
where
the murder,
So they have
Christopher. Yes, I know
where
what
they're
you're
like
talking
the
about.
best of friends, but one's
The
straight.
author, no, the
they
author,
have an
no.
understanding,
Yeah.
Yeah.
but nothing sexual has happened.
I mean, but I would see, like, so in the Midwest, it would be strange for two adult men to share an apartment together and share
Unless
their
one of
lives.
them's name is Abraham Lincoln, in which case there's a reason for it.
Exactly. But
Leads are rare out here.
on the coast, we all have roommates, it's just normal.
Yeah.
You don't have to be in a relationship with your roommate. You're just living together and splitting rent. They live in New York. It's expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we all live on romantic and sexual spectrums, right? So it's possible that over the years between Bert and Ernie, there's been some sort of flirtation, possibly. It doesn't have to be a yes or no answer, right?
Why does it? I mean, is it really important that we know this?
We just want to put everybody in a box, Jack.
Yeah.
It's so true.
Put them all in a
They're
box.
puppets. Let them be.
Because
puppets.
Muppet sex can be very hot.
I think their
That's true,
relationship
actually.
was just on a plane that we cannot comprehend.
It might have
You're
been
probably
really
right.
more
Very
intellectual
high
than we
plane.
can understand.
I think so.
I mean, maybe it depends on like the gender of the person whose hand is up their butt.
That could be,
that's
and if
true.
they trim
Maybe
their
it's one of
nails.
those English intellectual relationships.
There you go.
Where they live together. They're
Discuss the great
They
novels.
don't actually have sexual congress, but for all intents and purposes, they're a couple.
They sip tea.
Yeah.
They're British. What's the difference? Yes,
Book
Dina.
clubs.
I just want to say there's a name for their orientation. It's called asexual homoromantic.
Okay.
Oh.
So they don't have sex, or they're not sexual, but they're
partnered.
Exactly, yeah. So they share their lives together.
Thank you for
And-
sharing.
Yeah.
I should have left
Thank
it
you
at
for that Tumblr update. That was important. From anonymous White House official, we have this tweet, and Jack, I'll let you read this one.
Since it is now known that Ernie and Bert are in fact a gay couple, I give Bert way more credit for putting up with old Ernie's bullshit.
I mean, it is like living with a child.
It really is.
Yeah, but he keeps things I mean, I think Bert enjoys playing the role of the fatherly figure. He
Well-
needs Ernie in order to have that role.
Not to put too fine a point on it. Odd couple.
Yeah.
Odd couple.
okay.
Good.
Lucille
well
Ball
done.
and Desi Arnaz. I mean, like, look at all the hijinks that she got into.
Oh, yeah. She had to
Right.
learn a lesson.
Yeah.
So, Rose, what do you got to plug? What's going on with you?
So much speculation. That's all I can say.
Oh, gosh.
What do you got to plug? We need to wrap up our show right here.
Plug?
Yeah.
My iPhone died. I need to plug that in.
Okay, plug that
It's
in.
kind of like a pointer, but more of the jumps.
More of a tip.
Oh, right.
Virginia, what do you got to plug?
Well, I would like everybody to check out my website, bedinia.com or virginiajones.social. It's the same thing. I've got a great show coming up tomorrow at the Bark at the Barkley in South Pass. There's me in a bear suit.
Look, you're
so
a furry.
cute.
And there's a calendar, which is super
Yeah,
technical.
click that
Upcoming
calendar.
dates. I should have said that.
Yeah.
But tomorrow I'm doing a show. It's supposed to be Dana Gould, Lori Kilmartin, some great people on it. On Saturday, I'm at the Virgil for Witch Hunt, which is mostly ladies, and also we let one guy do it. And October 6th, I am on I'm going to Santa Cruz to do an all-vegan comedy festival
Oh,
with
that's
Eddie
gonna be-
Pepitone, and that's going to be
ripping.
dynamic.
Yeah.
So,
That's interesting.
and the 13th, I'm going to be at the Lyric Hyperion for a ghost roast as David Bowie. I'll be performing as the
Whoa,
ghost
that's
of
cool.
David Bowie.
Wow.
So I get up to all kinds of horse shit.
You love that word, by the way, I've noticed.
Please follow me.
Please follow
Is
Virginia.
this all through like casting sites or?
No, this is just through being a comedian for 12 years.
Comedy networking, we'll
Comedy
call
networking.
it. Yeah.
Way to go.
I'm a baby actor, but I feel good about being a comedian. The end.
And Kyle, what do we have going on?
My rerun of the episode of Seinfeld I did is on almost every week. So
What do you
catch
play?
that.
What did you
play?
do in that?
I was in the Bizarro episode. I was Bizarro George.
Oh, that's so cool. I remember that one so
Yeah,
well.
Bizarro
Yeah.
George. So that's on probably once a week. So catch that.
Probably
Yeah.
right now.
You can
just turn
catch
your
me on the
television.
Late Late Show and one of many films I did. But you can follow me on my social media. It's
Yeah.
Kyle T. Hefner on most things.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Jack?
Well, I've got this brand new Dracula play that I'm doing downtown. I'm hoping I can get all you guys to come with me. I do have a couple more trailers coming out for Hellfest. I hope you've seen them. Or go patronize the movie and make me look good. So please do.
Wendy?
Oh, you can follow me at wendyshapiro.com and SHAPERO. I spell it with an E.
Is that just you or the whole family?
It's just the whole family.
Because you should know that like spell check wants to
change it all the
they
time. I know.
Nosy bastards. Lori, what do you got?
You can follow me on social media at Lori Roggenkamp on most things at LRog on Instagram. I also have a podcast that is on hiatus right now, but it'll be coming back within the month. It's called The Bloody Mary Podcast with Marie and Lori, and it's about terrible women in history.
Mm-hmm.
And
what do you have to do to qualify?
We just try and prove that women are just as bad as men. So
you're not there yet, Lisa. Sorry.
And then the 25th, I'm doing a comedy competition in Clovis. So I think there's online voting. So check that out. And then on the 29th, my girlfriend's meeting my parents. So
everybody come to that.
Yeah, everybody, please.
What's your Facebook status?
It's in a relationship, but I only show it so I can view it. Nobody else can view.
Are you going to meet at a restaurant? Can we all just kind of
can it be
suddenly
Facebook Live?
appear?
Facebook Live.
It's I'll Facebook Live it. It's going to be in Yorba Linda, where my parents live.
Mm-hmm.
But it's the first person they've ever met. It's the longest relationship I've ever been in. So we're all very nervous.
Good luck.
So thank you.
I want to hear all the details. I want to thank Dina Friedman, John Maddox, Lane McFadden, Francesco Demanda, Nico Gargiula is here. Look, it's David Court, Trish Bach, and Therese is here. Therese is here, right? Did she make it? Okay, yay, Trace made it. I am Louise Palenker, Jack Daniel, Wendy Shapiro. Joe Cipriano is too busy jet setting to be here, but maybe he'll be here next week. And we have an interesting show next week. We're going to teach you how to make your own podcast. So join us next week and follow us and share and comment and write a review, because that really helps other wonderful people just like yourself find our fine program. We love you, and we will see you next week. Goodbye, everybody.
Of course.